everybody, how are you all doing today? Back with Unreal again. Sorry about uh Friday and yesterday that I didn't do any of it. It was because Friday, well, there was a nasty storm. It was not safe for me to stream during that time. Fortunately, it did end before I started the gaming stream, but yeah, the storm was still up during the Unreal, so on Friday I couldn't do it. And yesterday, well, it was my grandma's birthday, so I couldn't make it. By the time I actually got back to my computer, it was well past 7, and of course, there was no point in starting at that point. Instead, heck, I didn't even have energies to do homework, so instead I joined gym for Warframe. But anyways, last time we did this, we looked into the audio volume stuff regarding these things that I'm showing right now. And you're curious about that hollow function that some of these get. Now, how does that affect the audio? And we most likely gonna start by messing around with that. Now I'm gonna hop onto Jim's stage. He's almost about ready to start.
To kind of create like
He started already.
multiple audio volumes all at once, and then just have it build right then and there. And then we'll just kind of see, we'll kind of test out, what we're hearing and how we're going about hearing it through the engine, and see, what changes, how does the hollow work, like, can you like add different like volume, changes in volume based off of this, different steps or something like that. I don't know. We'll look into it more. I can see that Blackheart is in the stage, so let me go ahead and invite him in. You invite to speak. There we go.
Hello, how you doing?
Yourself?
I'm doing okay.
Good to hear. Good to hear. A little bit more rested.
Yep.
Okay, that's good. So last we left off, we pretty much covered the cone, the radius and the hollow and stuff like that. We had just basically got into the stairs. Talking about like the different, it has like the following options and stuff like that per shape, which is interesting. That some of these have their own, unique features, unique options, which I mean works. Don't get me wrong. It's just interesting that they added each of these options for each of these different shapes, uniquely to them. Like, the fact that you have the curved stair there, where they actively talk about how much the step height is, the step width is, the angle of the steps, how many steps there are. It's like they kind of went into like you know the like, here's your steps and here's how you can handle the audio for said steps with this. Um, Now does the like I said before, can you add like a volume per step or something like that? Don't really know. Something we'll have to kind of test out, right?
Hmm.
Um, then you have the cylinder, which has the same kind of process as like the other, like, you know, cubes and cones and stuff like that, inner, outer, and the hollow. You have a linear staircase, as opposed, and different from the curved stair. So that's gonna be interesting if, you know, depending on how we want to, like, you know, build our structures kind of thing. You know, like, hey, you know, like, if we want somehow like a curved stair all the way up a tower or something like that, then we use the curved stair. Whereas, you know, if you're like having someone approach the throne room, then, you know, you can have the linear stair, right? So, so that's interesting. Um, and then of course you have the sphere, which, you know, you have the radius of it, you know, which works for spheres. I mean, obviously. But the tessellation here sets the number of iterations the audio volume will use to calculate the sphere shape, which influences how closely the base approximates a sphere. Hmm. Okay, so um, okay, so from what I can tell from this, you know, obviously you have the radius, right? You know, from the you know, center of the circle all the way out to the edge of the sphere, right?
Right.
From what I can tell from the tessellation, they're basically saying, hey, um, you know, how often do you have the, like the, um, do you check, you know, the radius, you know, to the side, to the sphere, I think, right? And that's what I'm kind of thinking, meaning, like, you know, you look at the image there, and it seems like there isn't that many iterations for this particular sphere. Otherwise, you know, it'd be more, you know, otherwise the curves would be a little bit rounder. There would be more, um, it wouldn't be as jagged in the sphere sides, you might say. At least that's how I'm kind of interpreting their language here.
Mm,
Like, if there was more iterations, then it would mean that, um, the the size of the, like, the sides that they're kind of showing on the sphere on the graphic would maybe be smaller, and therefore the shape itself would be a little bit more spherical than kind of blocky. But, you know, I don't know. I'm not 100% sure on that.
don't
Uh,
know.
uh, what's your interpretation?
I'm not exactly sure myself.
Okay. No worries. Um, you know, we're working on Unreal Engine for the first time anyway,
Yeah.
so obviously everything is pretty much new here for the most part. So, um, but I say, you know, with all this information that we have on hand, then we can probably just go ahead, you know, go into our Unreal, you know, pick one of the, uh, you know, quick, you know, builds that we had before, and then we make the different, and we make more audio volumes around the map here, so that we can kind of see what they might look like and how the volume kind of works overall.
Yeah.
So
I'm more interested in know how that hollow part works.
yeah, indeed,
How we can like
indeed,
work with that.
yeah. So, like I mentioned a little bit ago, I'd almost say I almost kind of recommend that we, I mean, we've already done like a square audio volume, right? Um, so maybe this time we'll do, um, we'll add, more audio volumes um, into the stage, and then we'll change it, like we already have a box, right? So we'll change the brush shape to cone, curved stair, cylinder, linear stair, and sphere. And then modify the settings, and then we'll test out, what we hear, how we go about hearing it, and so on and so forth. Sound like a plan?
Sure.
Okay. I mean, obviously, you do what you want to do, but I fear, if we want to kind of see how each one works per se, then we may need to, um, and we may need to kind of, look at each one individually and see, what changes, or how each one kind of works. So, you know, and then of course, add in the different types of properties in there, although, oh, there is a, let's get the hollow in there. Okay, so now, like I have one for the um audio volume. I'm gonna rename the audio volume so that I know, what it is. So this one is the box audio volume, which I probably want to switch. I probably want to do the hollow on that one as well. Yeah, just to kind of see, wall thickness. Okay, let me bump that out quite a bit. There we go. Just to kind of see what that's, see what that's all about. Yeah, I don't really care about the number of sides and stuff like that, so that's not that big of a deal. But here's the thing about this. We don't actually have any actual sounds in there. We don't have the audio volumes in there at all. So that's we might need to kind of add our own. We might need to, we have those ambient sounds from before, right? From the box.
Yeah.
We might need to move those ambient sounds to the other structures maybe, and then see what happens. So we might want to consider doing a 3 different ambient sounds, and see if we can do an audio volume inside the inner structure of a hollow, inside the hollow itself, and then outside the entire structure. Sound like a plan?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna create another audio volume. Gonna move it away from the cone here because I want this to be the curved stair builder. Let's see. Oh, okay, we can do clockwise or counterclockwise. Interesting. Okay. There is no hollow for the curved stair, which okay makes kind of sense. You know, it's kind of understandable about that. Angle of the curve 90 number of steps. Let me reduce that down a bit because I want to be able to kind of see if I can hear, like if I put an audio in each one of the steps kind of thing, you know, what will I hear there? You know, you get what I'm saying?
Hmm.
What I probably should do as well is probably get, you know, some kind of visual representation so I know exactly where each of these are. Like right now I just have the wireframes, and if I, you know, I know that if I push play then I'm not gonna necessarily see them either, so probably be a good idea to maybe put some kind of, you know, initial structure, like, hey, this is where the um this is where the cone is, this is where the curved stair is, you know, that kind of thing. So curved there, rename that. Let's see, let's get another audio volume out there. Okay. Okay, we got cone, we got cube, we got curved. Oh, they even have a spiral stair builder. Interesting. Okay. Well, first off, let's do this cylinder. Let's make that hollow. Let's do 100 on the hollow. There we go. And then we'll rename this real quick. Actually, can you? Oh, I don't know if everybody can kind of see what I'm doing here. Let me move my webcam down so you guys can kind of see what's going on. Actually, hold on. Let me move myself over here. There we go. You guys don't need to see the content browser, you know, contents. You know, that's not the point of this exercise. Sorry about that.
There.
Okay. And now got those, and now we do like another audio volume. Let's see. Do the linear staircase this time. Once again, we'll reduce down the number of steps. Make it a little. Oh, okay. I was kind of hoping for a little bit of wider steps there, but there we go. I'm gonna do a little bit more of a height on the steps so that maybe I can see, like, one of the things that I want to try to see about is, like, can you put some kind of audio volume in each one of the step locations, and it will react differently based off of where you are on the steps. But you know, I'm not 100% sure how that will work out, you know. So will you know, if I go into the steps, will I hear all 5, or will I hear, you know, just the one for that particular step? You know, how does it, you know, how does it factor in?
I guess it would
So,
be like in all of them, I guess. But I guess we're gonna find out soon enough.
yeah, pretty much. I mean, that's what these kind of experiments are all about anyway. So, okay, so we got box, we got cone, we got curve, we got cylinder, we got linear. You know, next one is the sphere. So, move that over there a little bit. Get that out, move that away. Okay, so, you know, we got a decent radius on that already, but the tessellation is set to 2, which is, not quite sure. Let's increase the number, 100.
Oh,
Yeah,
it
okay.
adds more. What's the word? Like quote unquote more angles, more geometry to it.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that
Um,
what it
but
means?
it set it to 5. It didn't go any higher than 5. So put if I did it at 10, it reverted back to 5. So if you do 4, not as many. You do 3, not as many. You do 2, not as many, and you do 1, very little. So yeah, it's basically how many triangles are you basically adding to the sphere to make it look like a sphere? So I wonder if you can actually do like a you know, can it do decimals?
I
No,
doubt it.
it's just whole numbers. So it's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can't even do 0 on this one, or 0.5. So that's interesting. Um, Now, obviously, if you do 5 a lot, then it means that your engine is going to be trying to process that a lot more, right?
Right.
Because, you know, it's trying to handle the the overall shape of the sphere, right?
Mhm.
And obviously, um, you know, it's trying its best to be as curved as it possibly can for, you know, 5 in this particular case. But I'm sure, like, if you had like 6, for example, you'd have, the number of triangles that you would basically be seeing would be a lot, a lot more, and the curve would be, better. You know, I mean, not to say that the curve isn't bad right now with 5, right at this moment in time, but if anybody knows um, calculus, um, if the way my professor kind of taught us about it is that if you keep on making the um, basically the rectangle smaller and smaller and smaller and stuff like that, you're basically making it look like a line, which allows for a smoother curve overall. So, you know, so they're basically using a lot of calculus to, work on this. So,
Alright. Now there's left to do a geometry build and test it.
yeah. Well, I want to do. There's one other audio volume that it appears that they added, and I want to add this in real quick, which was the spiral stair builder. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Counterclockwise slope floor slope ceiling. Okay, interesting. Number of steps. Number of steps in one whole spiral rotation. Oh, okay, interesting. Step thickness, step height, width, radius. Okay, okay, interesting. So what I want to do now is I want to do another ambient sound and add that in there. Oh wait, I forgot to rename the stairs. Um, Spiral stairs. And then I need to name the sphere as well because I didn't name that one. It doesn't look like I'd named this one either, which was the linear stair. So let me go ahead and name that one real quick. You know, I want them all kind of named appropriately so that I can just kind of select between them without too much difficulty. Now I have let's see, currently 3 ambient sounds at this moment in time. Let's see, I'm gonna name this starter wind. Ambient sound. This is fire ambient sound. And this one I will do, I want it to be kind of a constant, but yet different from the others. Let's see, we'll do a light ambient sound. Okay, so what I'm planning on doing right at this moment in time is I'm gonna take these sounds and I'm gonna kind of put them inside like the box, the inner box, the hollow section, and then of course I got, you know, the other sound on the outside as well. You know, I have the three sound files right at this moment in time. One for the outside, one for what's considered the hollow section of the you know, box in this particular case, and then one for the inner section. And then, you know, I want to see, can I hear distinctly between those three, you know, myself. Although I would like to make sure that I can hear the where was it where you could kind of set
Set what? Yeah, that sound class.
well, the actually, yeah, we do have the sound class, don't we?
Yeah.
Level designer ambient. See, hold on. that's, yeah, down at the very bottom of the sound. For that ambient sound, you have the sound class. Now, what I'm kind of wondering about right at this moment in time is where did we go for changing the um like being able to kind of hear the outside of it? Was it that what that was in the volume itself, right? You know, being able to kind of hear beyond the boundaries of the sound volume.
I think um let me find it. Audio volume ambient zone that had all the volumes.
Right, right. It was in, yeah, it was in the ambient zone within the volume itself. Gotcha. So I think what I wanted to do here was kind of, you know, tell it to remove, um, you know, being able to hear anything outside the volume when you're inside. So that's what I did. But I'm curious as to how you would hear, you know, what you would hear within that hollow section. So I think I'm pretty much good to go for the box again. And then obviously I'll switch on over to like the other structures as we go along. So yeah, we'll do the build geometry. How you doing on that, by the way?
I'm doing good.
Okay. So I'm hearing the fire. Trying to go slow so I can try to go into the hollow. Okay, I don't hear the fire anymore, and it sounds like I'm hearing the light, I think.
Copy the settings from here.
Interesting. So I just went on into the interior of the box, and I'm hearing like all three of the sounds now. So, now, okay, if I'm outside, I can still kind of hear the light in there. You know, like I think the little bit of the wind. If I go into the hollow, I only hear the light and maybe the wind. And then when I go further in, I'm hearing all three again. So this is interesting. So there's obviously the settings in, you know, on the volume itself is um you know, the ambient zone needs to have its settings kind of changed. Like if I want to just hear just those specific sounds, you know, uh, when I go to into each of the zones, then I need to kind of change the ambient zone settings. So, um, okay. You see, this one is talking about the frequency cutoff in hertz of sounds inside the volume and the players outside the volume. So this might be something that, you know, like when you're inside, you hear anything that's outside of it. So I think I'm gonna go and turn that one off, which is the interior LPF. I'm gonna go ahead and leave that one. The LPF time and exterior time, probably don't need to worry too much about that. The desired volume of sounds inside the volume when the player is outside the volume. I can probably go ahead and reduce that down to 0. And let's see, we have the time for the interior, fine. Outside the volume, the player's inside the volume. I already have that down to 0. And then of course the time on that. So if everything worked out perfectly fine for that, and if I do the build geometry again, still hearing it though. That's weird. Why am I hearing the other sounds? Even though I set it down to 0 for all these. Shouldn't that basically be saying, hey, I don't want anything bleeding in? Or is it like the exact opposite? Like, you know, hey, you'll hear it perfectly fine if you're at 0. So maybe if I bump this up to like, say, like 20, will it, you know, will these basically shut down the volumes from inside and outside, or will they kind of
Don't know.
be even louder? I don't really hear a difference. Wow, there's quite a bit of huge volume spike there. So on my end, when I go from outside to, you know, like right now I'm like hearing everything, right? I'm hearing all the different types of volumes and stuff like that, and you'll probably get there if you haven't already gotten there yourself.
I have. I hear like most of them in one go.
Yeah. I just bumped up the numbers um, for the exterior volume, the exterior LPF, the interior volume, and then the interior LPF, thinking that maybe that will like maybe that's like, you know, complete removal of the sounds, right? But no, it's not even that. It's like when you transition from one ambient sound to another, that number increases the volume for like the split, you know, for that, you know, that exterior time. So So it doesn't look like there's it almost feels like there's nothing there that will actually stop um the sounds from bleeding into each other, it feels like, with the ambient zone, which is interesting. You would think that that wouldn't necessarily be the case if you remove the values of that. Uh, yeah, I'm gonna test by just removing all the numbers, and it looks as though they changed the times to 0.01 instead of 0. So obviously they're basically saying, hey, that's the amount of time that it'll take when you transition from one to the other. So try this again. Yeah, I can still hear like the wind, although I can't hear the fire in the hollow section. Although I think I can hear the wind. Although once I go into the intersection, I can hear all three again. So this is weird. I'm not quite sure what's going on here.
Don't know.
Hmm. I'm gonna look around and see if there's something else. Seeing any kind of different values here that might indicate that, hey, this will bleed into the others. Maybe it's something to do with the ambient sounds themselves, maybe? Check. Hmm. I'm not sure. I don't see anything here that, screams at me that, hey, this will allow for it seems like the ambient sounds are just ambient like throughout, but yet at the same time, this hollow didn't necessarily have the fire ambient sound inside that area of the box, which is interesting. Um, Not quite sure what's kind of going on there. And unfortunately, uh, I need to use the restroom.
Go on.
So yeah, I'll have to return in just a few minutes, obviously. But obviously, I'll leave your audio going for everybody else to kind of hear. But obviously, if anybody's watching me right at the moment, go check out Blackheart Games. He's working on his, or he's working on the same exact thing that I am. So I'll be right back.
Okay. Right now, I rearranged some things, where my audio cues are all located. And now that I rearrange everything, I'm getting a bloody error that I have no idea where it's even coming from again. Like tells me world settings error. Needs right to be rebuilt. Why does it want me to rebuild the light if I didn't mess with the light? I only mess with the geometry, not the light. Which is quite bullshitty. Like I said, I did not move a single light. I don't know why it wants me to rebuild the light and just so I can test the sound modifications. In the meantime, I'm going to see about how to deal with that. Maybe it's the fact that it's hollow, that some of these, that the audio's actually coming out, like coming through. Because this one is, I can hear it. It's a hollow one, but which for some reason I can hear everywhere. When I go in, I stop hearing everything outside. I can hear it, but when I'm outside, I hear quite a bit of it. Same goes for the one back here, which is also hollow. Get rid of this one. Maybe that's the problem. I'll have only this one in here. And of course, building the lights takes up a lot of my resources. And beyond that, that's all I can think of. At least I sort of mark where everything is, so it'll be easier for me to find it when I go into play mode. Let's see. That one I can hear, and I can hear the fire constantly, and so we're riding the birds for some reason. Once I finish rebuilding the lights, I'll hit play again and test again. And something tells me the hollow ones are the ones that are causing the audio to creep out. Because the ones that don't have hollow, those are fine. Let's see. don't rely on the hollow much. If it is what's causing the audio to creep out, so probably need to watch someone that explains this with a bit more detail, maybe. Because I've already edited all of my volumes. I got everything to be just like the original one. Okay, let's see. Oh, the audios have the ambient setting already in. Yeah, all of them are in. Check my volumes again, see if I didn't screw up with any of them. I hate that the lighting one takes so long. I probably may need to experiment this on my own time. It's gonna be harder now since summer's starting for me. That means a lot of heat during the day, and well, I don't want to overheat my computer. So generally avoid my computer during the day. I'm gonna try and experiment with this probably my own time, trying to just get a better grasp on it but if I can hopefully fix it now. But my guess is the problem is with the hollow part, the hollow sounds. But if I switch this to non-hollow, the audio probably stops seeping out. Oh, the sounds are different now. Odd. While I'm inside the cone, I do not hear anything. But if I go out, I hear the stream. Is it like the everything inside the cone is just empty space? Like a hollow space? Well, whatever you put in there, you actually hear it outside. I hear the sparks. I'm inside the cylinder. Inside the cylinder, the inner circle, I can hear. Inside the hollow part, I don't hear anything. But if I leave it, I still hear the inside of it.
I'm back. Okay.
Interesting. Here's my stairs.
Actually, I'm kind of curious.
I think I understand what the hollow is. I'm gonna do one quick little change. Just move this in there. And let's take this one in here.
Go ahead.
Build geometry. Make sure that's properly inside. Okay. Ah, now it's gone. Oh, okay. I think I get it now, what the hollow is. There's a stream. There's the center of my cone. Then inside the gap. And okay, let's go into the cylinder. I'm inside the hollow part of the cylinder. But if I move to the center of it, if I can locate, there's a center of the cylinder and I hear the outside. Okay, I understand the hollow now and why you hear the sounds from the inside of it. What it's doing, the hollow, it's like you're cutting a hole in the middle. The inner radius, everything inside it, is the outside actually. It's not the inside of the hollow. So I just turned this cylinder, for example, into a donut. There's nothing here in the middle. Everything between the inner and the outer radius, this, like these two gaps right here, everything in there, that's where the sound's gonna be. But middle is gonna count as the outside of the volume. Why would you use this? I don't know. I guess it would save you time if you're making sort of like a circular structure with like a garden in the middle, for example. But now I understand what the hollow is, and that's why I could hear the sounds from the middle of it, because the middle of it counts as the outside.
I don't know. I'm not sure about that.
I tested it just now.
Well, no, I mean,
like when I had my audios like dead center of them, I could hear every outside of it. I could hear it over and over again. But once I moved the audio inside that little gap, that disappeared. And the cue I got for that is whenever I got the inside the hollow, when my sound was in the middle, I wouldn't hear anything. All sound was gone. I was like, wait,
okay.
where's my audio? I go in the middle, okay, audio's back. Go back in the hollow, no audio. Okay, I move my audio in between that hollow, between the inner and outer diameter, the outer radius, and now the audio's in there, but it's not outside. I don't hear it outside anymore.
Well, here's the thing. For mine, you know what I've been testing. You know, I have the 3 ambient sounds. You know, I have, you know, one outside. You know, one kind of center, you know, set inside the hollow section of the box, and one on the interior of the box, right?
Yeah, but the interior counts as outside now. That's why you're hearing what's in the interior section. The interior now counts as outside. That's just, you just cut a hole there, pretty much. That's what Hollow's doing. I got rid of the one that was in the interior. Now I have the audio like right in between the interior and exterior radius. Nothing in the dead center of it. Because now for Unreal, that's nothing. That's outside. That in center section, the interior radius, it counts as outside. That's why I'm using this cylinder now. I don't see it as a cylinder anymore. I see it as a donut with a hole in the middle. I just grab a donut and that sounds inside the donut, but in the middle of it, that's how it counts as outside. If you have sound right in the middle, inside the interior radius, if you get rid of that, you won't hear anymore. Or if you move it in the within the walls,
Yeah, I'm
that's
gonna
gonna count
turn.
as you'll solve your issue right there.
I'm gonna turn off the fire on the outside. And I'm gonna replay.
I noticed that when I was just flying around with the audio dead center, and when
Okay.
I got inside that wall, I lost all audio. Like I could not hear anything. I was like, "Wait, what happened?" That's all that hollow is, just cutting a hole. Right now I'm playing it again. I only hearing the birds now. My cylinder's over here. When I walk into my cylinder, I hear the sparks. I'm in inside the walls of my cylinder. Go deeper into the middle now. I'm in the middle and I don't hear what's inside the walls anymore. I hear the outside and I'm in the middle of my cylinder. But
One second, I'm dealing with some errors on my end here real quick.
if you got lighting, it's probably lighting. Because I was having annoying error, even though I didn't move the lights. I just moved geometry to mark where they are, and
Well,
I got
I
a little
added,
lighting there.
I wanted to add some visual effects to the cylinder so that I knew, or to my cone so that I could see,
Where it is.
um, see where it was on the map so that I could kind of fly to it and like, but
Yeah, I moved things around and I got a lighting error. I had to rebuild the lights.
yeah. No, it wasn't necessarily the um lighting because I don't really have a lot of lights going on. It's a matter of a problem with the cylinder itself that I
What does
made.
the error exactly say? It should give you at least a hint, at least. In my case,
It's
it said
just saying
failed lighting.
it's just saying invalid draw scale, and so I'm trying to figure out what I need to change for that. So guess I can't have like the cylinder be completely flat, maybe. It's
Alright, for
kind of
check that.
irritating personally, but you know, let's see if that fixed the issue.
Okay. The spiral staircase, both the sounds I put inside the spiral staircase are running, so counts as one solid thing, not like individual
Yeah,
steps.
that was the issue. It didn't like the fact that I drew a cylinder that was completely flat, like you know, it had no
No
width
height.
to it, you know, no height to it. So it was like it didn't like that at all. I'm like, come on now. So you guys aren't giving me the opportunity to make it like super thin, you know, at this moment in time. So it's like, okay, well, whatever. Interesting. Okay, I'm inside the cylinder and I can still hear the ambient sounds on the outside, so...
Because the inside is now the outside.
Well, no. I'm in the cylinder itself. There's no I didn't put any ambient sounds inside the cylinder at all. So,
Yeah,
so
did you
the
put
that
like dead center or like inside the wall of the cylinder?
no, I'm like inside the cylinder itself, or
Like,
inside the cone itself. So
that's why I'm
there's no
asking. You're dead
there's
center of it,
yes.
and that's what I'm telling you. The center now counts as outside, even though you're
No, I
inside.
mean
That's
e
open air now.
even even inside the hollow of the cone, I'm still hearing the outside ambient sounds. So I shouldn't be hearing anything inside this cylinder because there should be no, sounds entering this volume whatsoever, you know, but it's still kind of blading through on here, you know.
Inside the walls, the audio should not bleed through inside the walls. Dead center,
That,
it will.
well, that's my point. It is.
That's
That's
why dead center is not. It will
no,
because
no, no.
like,
I mean, I'm inside the walls of the cone
and
that
you're
I'm
hearing
in
it.
right now, okay? And, there's no audio, there's no ambient sounds put into the cone right at this moment in time. I'm inside the wall, not necessarily inside the hollow. I'm inside the wall. If what you're saying is true, that the hollow is in a sense an outside version, like you're taking a portion of the outside and cramming it into the interior. um I'm inside the wall of the cone and I'm still hearing the outside ambient volume there, so something else is going on. The settings for the cone is probably messed up, but I'm still hearing, I go into the box and I hear, the, uh, you're right in that, the interior of the box is kind of also displaying, outside tendencies there as well. Or, I'm hearing, like, I turned off the fire, which is on the outside of the box. So the only two audio ambient sounds that are currently possible right at this moment in time is the one that's currently inside the walls of the box, okay, which I have set to light, and then I have one on the inside of the box, the interior, um, that I have for wind, and I'm hearing wind throughout everywhere else. So not only is the wind on the interior of the box, but it's also on the outside of the box, and it's also bleeding into where the cylinder is. So, and there's no change in the volume in the not in the cylinder, in the cone. So, so not sure what's going on here. I also don't really like the idea that, hey,
I
if
don't
you
have that issue because I got one audio like inside the walls of the cone and it doesn't bleed out. It works
well,
fine.
okay, but I have no other ambient sounds in the cone volume. Now, I have not modified the cone volume at all. I've kind of left it at default, so it still has all of its default values on there. But the problem is that I'm still hearing the ambient sounds from basically the interior of the box in this particular case. So the interior of the box is bleeding into the cone volume right at this moment in time, and that's not good. I'm not quite sure why that would be the case. Now I understand, like, hey, you have the um like if you have a ambient sound that's like on the outside, you know, no matter where you fly around in the game kind of thing, you should always be kind of hearing that kind of ambient sound no matter where, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, when you go into another audio volume, why am I still hearing that ambient sound? I shouldn't necessarily be. If I'm going into another volume that doesn't have that ambient sound, then I shouldn't be hearing it, right? But maybe it has certain settings that, you know, um, that still allows for that volume to kind of come on in. So let me see about
I don't know
changing.
why you're having the issue, and I don't. I have no idea what's going on your end.
Yeah, I'm gonna remove those. I'm gonna zero out the ambient values for the cone right at this moment in time. You know, the exterior volume, the exterior LPF, the interior volume, and the interior LPF, and see what happens here on that end. So I'm gonna go save the current. We're gonna build all levels. Make sure everything's kind of working the way I want it to work. Everything looks good. We're gonna do the play again. So I can hear the wind going into the box. And like right now I'm also hearing the light from inside the wall of the box, right?
Yeah.
So I go into the wall of the box. You know, I hear the light that's taking precedence. I think I still hear a little bit of the wind, so it's like muffled, but it's not completely gone. So
Mm.
that's why I'm
Do
like,
you is
this.
that what you do in there, like a nested volume,
What do you mean?
like a volume within a volume?
No. The box, the box volume is separate. It has nothing inside of it. It just, you know, the only thing that I changed with the box is, you know, I set it to hollow and I changed the size of the hollow so that I can kind of distinctly hear, you know, the interior, the
Mm,
wall,
testing.
and then the outside of it. Now I'm currently in the wall of said box, where the hollow is or whatever. Um, and I can hear the sound of the light, which I placed inside the wall. So I can hear that, but I can also hear the slight muffled sound of the wind in the wall as well. And I'm like, you know, why am I getting that bleed through, right? You know, I don't know how to stop that from happening right at this moment in time. How I'm hearing the exterior on the inside of the wall. I shouldn't necessarily. I want to try to see if I can stop that from happening, but I'm not quite sure what values I need to change to do that, right? So, but right now I'm gonna go ahead and move on to into the
Mm,
inter. I'm gonna move on into the interior of the box
I guess
and
what they would do is just they don't make it hollow and that's it.
well, I mean, you know, it. But my point is that even you know, like if we were to do a hollow anyway, you know, we shouldn't be hearing. You know, it doesn't matter whether or not it was hollow or not. Okay, the fact that I have ambient sounds bleeding into each other, like right now I'm on the interior of the box. You know, where the hollow is, and I can hear the sound that I placed on the interior of the box, the wind. I still hear a little bit of the light, so the light is also bleeding into the interior box as well. Okay, but it's not as prevalent. It's, you know, it has that ambient bleed into. Again, it's one of those things where it's like why am I hearing that bleed in, right? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fly over to where the cone is. And I'm going to see if I go into the wall of the cone. I hear the light, but I can barely hear the wind inside the wall of the cone, which is weird because again, the light ambient sound I only placed inside the interior, or not the inside the wall of the box. So why am I hearing the light ambient sound in here? I don't really know. Um, I think I also hear a little bit of the wind as well, slightly, but it's kind of there. Not not fully, but it's kind of there. And if I move on in further into the cone, now I'm in, and now I'm inside the like the hollow section of the cone. Now the wind comes back to full strength again. So why I'm getting these ambient sounds that I placed in a different volume, them being in a sense being transferred into the cone volume, I don't really know. I don't know why that's the case. It shouldn't be doing that in my particular opinion. So um but I mean, we're already going well beyond our tutorial, my
Mm,
friend. We might need to kind of come back to this tomorrow on this,
hmm.
uh, for us to kind of look in a little bit more on this. So,
I don't know. If you don't want things to go inside, then don't use hollow. That would be the answer, pretty much. 'Cause that's what I'm understanding from hollow. The middle is gonna count as outside, and that's regardless of
but
the
it,
shape.
my point is that I shouldn't be seeing that I'm inside the cone volume right now. I shouldn't be hearing anything from within the box volume. Okay, that's my personal, that's my takeaway from it. The fact that I put two ambient sounds inside the box volume, I shouldn't be hearing it in the cone volume at all. So that's why I'm confused as to what's going on here. So I'm not quite sure why I'm hearing the ambient sounds from the box volume in this cone volume. I don't want that to happen. So I need to figure out what values I need to change in order to stop that bleed through from volume to volume. Otherwise, um, we're gonna have problems when we start building games, and suddenly we're trying to use ambient sounds and it bleeds through everything. you know. So yeah, not sure. I'll have to I'll have to maybe look up as to you know look up more about their ambient volume and see if there's a way to kind of stop the ambience going beyond the
Maybe not
volume.
ambient value, but working with hollow. Because that's your problem right now. It's working with a hollow.
Blackheart, take what I'm saying. I'm going inside the wall of the cone and I'm still hearing the ambient volume. I'm not inside the hollow portion of the cone.
Yeah, I know, but what I mean by looking up the like hollow, like is that's what this stuff is called, audio volume hollow. It'll describe like the whole working with the whole thing if you look it up. Like, yeah, you're inside of that, but you don't understand why you're hearing something you shouldn't hear. But you don't understand why. So if you're going to like Google it or look at it YouTube, you will look for like working with hollow audio volume. and maybe someone will explain a little better than what we are understanding. Maybe how to avoid like bleedings of audio and things like that.
Well, okay. Here, let me do it this way. Okay. Right now, I have the cone audio volume. Right. I'm gonna, turn off hollow. Right. I'm gonna turn off hollow for the cone, and I'm gonna run it again. Let me save it. Let me build it again. Okay. And then we will go ahead and play it. Okay, come on. What's going on here?
Hi there, Roblox. We're gonna be doing Genshin later.
Okay, so I'm outside the box right now. I can hear the wind. I can still hear a little bit of the light from the box, but that's not the point. I want to go into the cone, right? I still hear the light and a little bit of the ambient wind from inside the cone. Hollow is turned off.
Did you edit the volumes?
Yes, I changed the settings of the cone volume. I removed the interior volume. I removed the exterior LPF. I removed the interior volume. I removed the interior LPF. There should be no, based off of the 0 results on those, there shouldn't be any bleed through. Yeah, if what I understand of the exterior volume, the interior LPF, the interior volume, and the interior LPF, I should not be hearing a single damn sound going into the cone. But
Well,
I
if your
am.
LPF is 0, then it would let it through because that's the filter that doesn't let it through. If your LPF is
Okay,
0.
so you're saying that I should have a higher LPF
Yeah.
to stop it? Okay, let me try that.
That's what it's supposed to be. The LPF is supposed to be a filter. If LPF is 0, then there's no filter. Maybe test that. Maybe that's what's going on.
Maybe. Let me go ahead and rebuild it. I put up a 10 volume, or I put LPF up to 10 for the exterior and interior for the cone.
And let's see what happens.
And okay, Unreal Engine's being a little buggy on me right at this moment in time. Okay, hold on a second. I can't even see the menu right at this moment in time. I'm gonna restart it here real quick.
Okay.
The menu system just...
Yeah. My LPF is set to on the exterior set to 0.5, on the interior set to 0.2 for my LPF. And exterior LPF time is set to 0.5 in my case.
Okay, let me make sure that my... Okay, yeah, my ambient sounds have saved. They're still at 10, so... Okay. I hit play, so... Yeah, it's been... I built it before, it just didn't... I couldn't hit the play to go in, so now I'm gonna go ahead and move on over to the cone. I can still hear the little light as though it's clear as day. There's no change in the volume in the light.
What is your LPF time? 0 or is there anything?
0.5 is the same at the defaults. But my point is that the volume is still there. I can still hear the light,
Then
you
your
know.
LPF is what's not working there, so that you probably wanna have to
Yeah.
check
So
that.
I don't.
Like, why sound's not being filtered.
But that's my point is that I'm hearing ambient sound where I shouldn't be hearing ambient sound. No matter what I'm changing in the ambient zone, it's not changing. Um, I'm still getting that ambient sound even from another volume that it should only be associated with. So we need to I want to research a little bit more as to what
Yeah, because
the
I'm not
ambient
having
zones
that
and how.
issue. I don't know why. I'm by what you're explaining and from what I'm understanding, the LPF's not working. But it's letting it through. Like the LPF is supposed to filter outside noise and not let it through. Like, but that's just not working for you right now. Hmm. I don't know.
I mean, unless I have to change the box audio volume, change the LPF on the box LPFs, but I
If
mean
that
that
one's
shouldn't
zero as
matter.
well, I don't know.
Yeah, I have that set to 0, but it shouldn't matter because
Well,
like if I go
test it.
into the cone, it should cut off all the volume. I shouldn't be hearing anything anymore after
Well,
that. So that's why
you
I'm
could
like,
test it.
why am I hearing the light source from the box when I'm in the cone? That's why I'm like, what's going on? But you need to go get some food before Genshin Impact, so
Yeah.
we can. I'll see about trying to find some tutorials about ambient sound later on tonight or tomorrow. And we'll tackle this again tomorrow, and we'll go over what you know if I find like the reasoning behind it or something like that, or I find out what they're kind of talking about with the bleed through, then we'll go from there. Or if anybody wants to kind of comment themselves on like, hey Jim, you need to do this, or hey Blackheart, he's experiencing that, or something like that, then that would be obviously helpful. But um, you know that's if you guys want to. So, but we'll probably figure it out maybe tomorrow or the next day. Who knows?
Hopefully.
Hopefully. Otherwise, we're probably not gonna be using ambient sounds
No,
if
more
we're
like we're not gonna
experiencing.
touch the hollow because you started having that issue when you set to hollow and you started putting LPFs to 0 and you started getting that bug.
Well, I
I
don't
didn't
think
get
that.
that bug at all. Like all of my hollows worked fine, all of my solids worked fine. I never put anything to 0. I don't know why I would. And I didn't
So
find the
so you
same
moved
any of the issues you had.
so you moved over to a completely different volume and you heard nothing,
No,
like
no
no
audio
audio
bleed out.
whatsoever.
Yeah, no audio bleed out.
Hmm. I'm gonna need to kind of check out your settings a little bit and see. I'll check out your
I set everything to the
yeah.
same as the original audio volume, and first I tested putting the audios in dead center, which was letting the audio bleed out into pretty much everything. But when I set it inside like the wall parts, then that problem was gone. Like I, if I was outside, I wasn't hearing all the audios all together. I would only hear it when I go inside that wall, and if I go dead center of it, I hear the outside again because that's just a hole right now.
But the fact that you're not hearing anything when you go into another volume altogether is
Yeah,
what's
I'm
kind
not
of,
getting any audio bleed out
you're not hearing the exterior, you're not hearing the interior of your
of
um
the hollow geometry. No.
yeah. So
If I go to my square, which I did both, I put it on hollow, Got the same results as my cone and my cylinder. I set it back to solid and it was back to normal.
I'll have to check out your settings that you have under details and see what you have set on there, because if there's something that you have set there that is
Did you
actually stopping
remember
the
to put
ambient sound though.
the ambient class, the audio class on all of your audios?
Yeah, well, um,
On all of them.
the probably the one that I didn't do is probably the light. I don't think the light has it, but I was, like I said, I was still hearing the,
I have them on all of them. Now I didn't miss a single one. All of my audios have the ambient, audio class ambient added to it.
yeah, the levels, that level designer ambient, yeah.
And
Um,
maybe that, like you said, that doesn't have it. Maybe by adding the audio class, you might fix it. Because that class is what's telling it this is ambient.
right, but again, you know, I should not be hearing and that I should not be hearing that ambient volume, you know,
Yeah, the
that
ambient
is
volume may
that is
be ambient, but the sound itself isn't, because the class should tell it this sound is ambient. The audio volume is going to ignore it because that sound's not
but,
ambient.
but the problem is that if I put it inside a volume, you know, a structure that has that audio contained inside of it, it should not be going outside of that volume. Period. You know, unless of course you have certain settings in there that basically allows for that bleed out from that volume. The fact that I'm hearing that audio inside another different volume is the problem that I'm experiencing. So that's my issue with this. Okay, it shouldn't necessarily matter if I have that sound class in there or not. In my particular opinion, the fact that I have that audio in one volume and I'm hearing that exact same audio in a different volume altogether is a problem, in my particular opinion. There's some setting that has been that we have and that I have in this particular case that's allowing the volume and the audio from one volume being transferred into the audio of the other volume, and that's not good.
Yeah,
So
that,
I don't
that
know
my guess
exactly
is
what's going
because it
on
doesn't have
there.
that class. My guess, that's just my guess, because it doesn't have that class, it's telling this is ambient. It's treating it like a universal audio, regardless of the volume. Because like, there's no class there to restrict it. That's only my
Okay,
guess. All you can do is test it. Put the class on the audio that doesn't have it, and see what happens. If
well,
it
I did. I just did. I just put it on there. I'm no longer hearing the light, but I'm hearing the wind, which is on the exterior in this particular case.
so the light was fixed,
So the light was fixed with the add-in of class. Why? I don't really know.
because without that class,
Um,
it becomes a universal audio that will ignore the audio volume. Because to the engine, because there's no class assigned to it, it'll be okay. This audio is everywhere. I don't know what this audio is, so I'm gonna put it everywhere. Like, it's almost like the class telling it what it is. Now, as for the wind, I don't know what's going on there.
still has that there. Why am I still hearing it inside the cone? Well, we have to.
Yeah.
You have to go get something to eat, and
Yeah.
you know I have to go and upload some videos. So we'll stop this here, or
Yeah.
we're
We might
going.
want to like experiment on that pro tomorrow.
Yeah. So we'll keep on working on it.
Yeah.
And obviously we'll try to learn more about it and figure it out, because obviously, you know, sound design is necessary for us to make a necessary game. Obviously, you know, can't really make a game without audio, right? So
Yep.
we're gonna need to figure this out.
Yeah.
So
Hopefully, it eventually gets to the part of cue audio.
cue audio, what do you mean?
Like if you touch something, cue this audio in.
Oh well, you know, there should be ways of enabling and disabling audio sounds. So you know, like if you look on, um, I don't know why this isn't showing
Like for
the.
example, if you're running, you want to hear your footsteps, but if you stop running, you don't want to hear your footstep anymore. Like that's not ambient. That's something that's more like reactive.
No, I mean what I'm saying is that, you know, the when you go to like the ambient sounds, there's an option on there that will allow for you to like make it, you know, make it active or disable it, I believe. Um,
Yeah, we may be able to do that. We don't know how to bind a sound to an object.
there's the activation auto activate kind of thing. So you can basically state, you know, this ambient audio sound can activate, and you know, needs to activate at this particular moment in time. Okay, so you know, you can either have it automatically activated, so like whenever a person leaves the building it will activate automatically, or you can turn it off and basically say, okay, at this particular moment in time in the game I would need you to activate, so the ambient sound gets applied to that particular area. And then of course you can turn it right back off again if you need to. Um, but yeah, that's something that is kind of a part of the volumes and the audio volumes themselves, or you know the ambient sounds. So you know, so if you have any additional sounds or something like that that you need to add, then there's ones that have the activation right at this moment in time that you can change. Same with the volume levels, or the audio volumes. I believe there's a way. Yeah, the audio volume has an enabled section, so you can disable or enable that audio volume to be active at any particular moment in time. So you can set that during in the code itself. So that shouldn't be too bad. So now going about actually doing that in code, that's, you know, that's something that we'll have to tackle later on down the line. But um, you know, we'll have to find out how they go about doing that in code. But for right now, you know, there is an enabled or activation, you know, for the volumes and for at least the ambient sounds, if not more. So okay.
Okay. I'm gonna go
All
and get myself something to eat.
right. Yeah. All right, man. You take care. I'll see you in a little while for some Genshin Impact. So,
Yep.
all right.
Okay.
All right,
See
man.
you in a little bit.
Take care. Bye.
Alright. Due to lack of time, and because I'm probably in a bit of a rush, because that went a little too long, I don't know why he was. I'm guessing he wasn't using the class. That's the problem. Just that class for feel it tells Unreal what is this. If it doesn't know what it is, it's using like universal audio. It's gonna be everywhere. That's why when he put it on like he fixed this issue. Now Win probably doesn't have the class, so that's probably why it's not having that issue. But anyways, I'm gonna end it here. I'll be coming back in a little bit for some Genshin. And I hope you all enjoyed it. If you someone understands that a little better and maybe understands why he's was having that issue, my guess is still he wasn't using the class when he should have. But if you someone understands it, leave it down in the comments below. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you all in a little bit. Bye.